This I want to show you this area here after the end of World War II, 1945 began the Cold War rivalry between United States and Soviet Union, and many of the things, the places are somewhere in some places in Western Europe, and particularly in Latin America, in Central America and South America. We call it Latin America because they speak Spanish and Portuguese. All this continent from Mexico, Central America, all the way down to Argentina, all speak Spanish, except Brazil speaks Portuguese, because come from here, Portugal, I mean Portuguese language. Spanish come from Spain, originally from this area of Greek and Rome, so that's why the name Latin America. So what happened was that 1939 was very important year in world economic history, 1989, because there was a demand for democracy that happened in Eastern Europe, that began in Romania. It began in Romania and spread to Czechoslovakia and to Poland, with the ultimately, well, the most important event was the Berlin Wall collapse. The Berlin Wall was the wall in the city of Berlin that divides Germany, West and East Germany. So the West, as I mentioned just now, describing two things for a country or countries, economically and politically. West Germany and the rest in the West, economically is West market oriented, politically Western democracy. West in the East, economically socialist, politically communist. So where is our Soviet Union at the time? So I have to show you. If this is Moscow, which is Russia today, Moscow was also the capital of Soviet Union at that time. Soviet Union ended in 1991. So this from Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, from here, Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, Romania is another country. However, the revolution for demand for democracy began in Romania, and then here Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and then the Tantan countries, you know, the Islamic republics. Those are the republics within the Soviet Union, and then the Islamic republics within Soviet Union, like Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and so on. So this area, the whole area is big. That was the Soviet Union. So what happened in Romania? Dictator at that time, quickly, I want to do this quickly. Yeah, this is this assassination of the dictator Ceausescu in Romania, because people demand for democracy at that time. Romania was under dictator, and that demand for democracy, people came out to the street so loud, so big, and also at that time there was a advance in satellite TV communication. Before that satellite TV communication available, you know, military, you know, can just summarize killing summarily, like this, and no one in the rest of the world will know. I mean, it's gonna take a long time to know, but with the satellite TV, especially CNN that just came out, you know, a few years before that, CNN, cable news network, satellite TV, and also anything happen in a country, 1 minute later, the news will appear in many countries and the rest of the world. So that's why the military couldn't do it. People although come to the street, and finally they kill this Ceausescu, his name, Nikolai, this dictator at the time. So that revolution in Romania spread all over Eastern Europe, from Romania in Bucharest, Romania, to Czechoslovakia. There was Czechoslovakia, and to Poland, to the extent that in Czechoslovakia, a writer became first president of Czech Republic. So become two countries. It was Czechoslovakia, one country, become Czech Republic and Slovakia. And in Poland, the head of the trade union for workers on the port of Gdansk, the trade union, the head, Lech Walesa, became the president of the first president of Poland after the democratization revolution. So, but the thing is, here, the most important is the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1989. I want to go try to be fast, because I'm giving you information here for your knowledge. I'm not going to ask you on the exam, okay? Berlin Wall collapse. Yeah, this Berlin Wall collapse. People just went out. Nobody, no military can do anything. Just people are just too many. So this collapse of Berlin Wall was very important. That was dividing West Germany and East Germany, as not only that, dividing Western Europe and Eastern Europe, with the two that I mentioned. Western Europe, economic oriented economy, politically Western democracy. Eastern Europe, socialist, economically, politically communist. So then this is very important, because that's spread, and one by one this happened. This spread also to China. And this picture is the most iconic picture that come to the magazine. For example, Time magazine, in front of Time magazine, this picture is iconic. This happened in June 1989, and I saw it because I was watching the news, satellite TV news. Spring, I remember spring, June 1989. This in China, I will explain that later. So as a result, let me go back to the map. The demand for democracy that spread all over Eastern Europe had an impact on Soviet Union. So that demand made the president at that time, Gorbachev. Don't worry, I'm not gonna ask you on the exam, but bear with me, maybe 5 more minutes, I'll finish. This is the man, I always call him the man with a map on his forehead. He's a good man. He did two things, because of, all these countries in Eastern Europe, one by one, turned from dictatorship to democracy. He did two things for Soviet Union. Perestroika, restructure the economy of Soviet Union, restructure the political system of the Soviet Union. Perestroika, restructure. And glasnost, glass, glass, like clear glass. Glasnost is to be transparent, transparency. So let people know what the government is doing, and transparent. So he, a good guy, he passed away just last month, in August this year. He passed away, not August, this is already November, 3 months ago. He passed away 3 months ago, this year. He, good guy, became a victim to this Yeltsin. So he chased away. You, Gorbachev, out, out, out. So Gorbachev, and then all the things. So one by one, the chaos, uncertainty, everything, give it the opportunity for the republics in the Soviet Union. Let me go one by one. This republic in the Soviet Union, Estonia, Moscow is here, okay, capital of Soviet Union. Estonia, we declare independence. Our independence, no more. We no more under Moscow. Latvia, we are no more under Moscow. We are independent country. Lithuania, one by one. Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and all these countries. First is Uzbekistan, among the Islamic Republic within the Soviet Union. The first one was Uzbekistan declared independence, and Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and all left today. That happened in 1990. Remember, there was Berlin Wall. 1989, Berlin Wall collapsed. 1990, German unification. No more West Germany and East Germany, become one Germany. 1990. 1991, no more Soviet Union. 1991, the collapse of the Soviet Union. No more Soviet Union, because one by one declare independence. So yeah, we have now. So 1991 marked the end of Cold War. End of Cold War. 1991, when there is no more Soviet Union, but there is Russia. So, and then let me go straight to little bit Hong Kong. You know, during the Cold War, and also at that time, China was still under the socialism and communism. So Hong Kong became a back door to enter China. Back door for companies from the West to do trade and investment with China must go through Hong Kong, because the Western countries like America did a blockade in terms of economic relations with China, because China at that time was socialist and communist. So what happened was that the Tiananmen Square incident, 1989, I want to say this like this. This incident, the demand for democracy here, had an impact in terms of speeding up the reform in China that was done earlier by Deng Xiaoping. Deng Xiaoping in 1978 did the reformation for economics and politics also, but more on economics, to embrace market oriented. So what happened was that Chinese government and Chinese people are very practical. They will do anything. This is my opinion, okay? They'll do anything that bring money. I will do anything. Anything that bring me money and rich, I will do it. So this incident, Tiananmen Square 1989, speeded up the reform. What happened? And this Tiananmen Square incident 1989 makes China what is China today, factory of the world, and giant, economic giant. Because of this, you know what happened? The Chinese government did this. This is, I explained to you earlier, economically, a country, we can explain economically, which is either market oriented or socialist. Economically, politically, either Western democracy or communist. So what they do, the government of China did, this is socialism. Socialism socialism is so bad. And at that time also, there was a success story in Japan, success story in Korea, all these countries. Wait. So this is my Facebook. I wanna go to my page because there's certain academic things that I posted on my page. This is my, you can ask friend with me, but you must follow my Facebook page because some questions will be on my Facebook page. Yeah, I did this last night. Actually, November the 9th was the anniversary year of the collapse of the Berlin Wall. Look at this collapse of Berlin Wall. Military just watching, cannot do anything, just watch, cannot like before because TV, satellite communication TV technology, the news will spread all over the world. Just see. But I want to go to my page. It's my page. Posted that here too. Yes, I want to show this picture. This is today. What if we saw this story in 1980s? In 1980s will be Japan on the left, not China flag, Japan. So United States was having trade deficit and fiscal deficit. Trade deficit, import export. Fiscal deficit is government expenditure compared with government revenue. So trade deficit and fiscal deficit, we call it twin deficit together. The United States had. You know why fiscal deficit? Government spent so much. U.S. government spent so much because of the Cold War. To get supremacy, to control the world against the Soviet Union. Star Wars also, space program. So much money spent here and there. So fiscal deficit and trade deficit, United States blame on Japan because of you, Japan, you export so much, your yen is too low, you need to increase your yen. That's why came the Plaza Accord 1985. Plaza Accord, there was a G5 meeting in New York City, hotel, Plaza Hotel. That's why the name Plaza Accord. Increase the value of yen by pressure, to increase the value of yen. So to tackle the trade deficit of the United States. So here today, this is the picture of today. Look at this, November 6, 2019. Yeah. So blaming United States will blame China. So in the past blame Japan. So because China has become a second in the world in terms of the size of the economy. Number one, United States. Number two, China. Size of the economy took over Germany. It was United States, Germany, Japan earlier, and then Italy. That was 80s, 1990s, and and early 2000. United States, Germany, Japan, and China. But in the 2020s, number one is United States, number two China, number three Germany, number four Japan. So now, nowadays, America will blame anything on China. That's why. Okay. So this, the picture you are seeing now that China has become a huge economic superpower, I would say because of the Tiananmen Square. This demand for democracy in 1989 made the speed for reform faster. You know what happened? Politically, no. Economically, the Chinese government did this. Oh yeah, because there's also, I wanted to show this. There was a demonstration effect of the success. Throw away socialism in China. So what the government, let me finish what I was trying to do. Chinese government will take this socialism, suppose this socialism, throw in the dustbin and embrace, adopt market oriented and liberalize for trade, liberalize trade and investment, you know, market oriented economy. So throw away socialism into the trash, but remain still maintained as politically as communist. So there's a what do you call this? There's a writing, a market oriented with Chinese characteristics, something like that. I don't remember exactly. So you know why that happened? Can you see this? People are lining up. This is like, can you see people? The picture, people lining up. This is in the Soviet Union. To buy what? To buy bread. Can you see bread line? Say, yeah, bread line to buy bread in the Soviet Union, Eastern Europe. Inflation is high. No bread to eat. You have to line up to buy bread. Whereas there is a demonstration effect of success of Japan, success of Korea, culminated in the magazine in 1989, asking this. I photocopy myself. I have it with me until today. Is it? Where is it? Where do I save it? Until today. The Koreans are coming. Hyundai Excel goes on sale next month, leading to a huge wave of consumer goods from computers to video cassette recorder. Is Korea the next Japan? This American business asks. Is Korea next Japan? Japan already here with cars, with electronics, everything with, you know. Korea next. Koreans are invading our country, America say. Invading in terms of products. So this is real, you know, I did this to show you that this is real copy that I have in my hand. That's why I turned like that. Yeah, Hyundai, you know, it says this. Hyundai Excel goes on sale next month. This was December 1985. Next month in January 86. So the advertisement was Hyundai cars that make sense. 4949 $4,949. 4949. It's one of the cheapest car. If you know, American car would be at that time in 1986. American car would be $8,000 or $11,000. But this Korean car, 4949, half, almost half. You know, 11 would be big one. So Hyundai car, and all this cars, computer, video cassette recorder, compact, refrigerator, microwave, all this. So, founder of Hyundai, founder of Samsung. This is LG, founder of LG. Father of Daewoo, yeah. I shook his hand. He passed away a few years back. I shook his hand at a talk. But of course, I'm a regular person. He doesn't know me. But I shook his hand. So I met the founder of Daewoo without saying just hi. That was Korea at the time. So finish. I'm saying to you, what happened in Europe? They look, because information, they can come, could come. Before that, information is not easy to come, except in one country, North Korea. Cannot come information from outside, because control. Information, we here, no bread, nothing, no food to eat. But look at them, they export cars. So, in writing, we call it demonstration effect of success of Japan, success of Korea, success of East Asian newly industrializing economies. So, as a result, that speed up all the revolution and change the world. 1989 changed the world, collapse of Soviet Union, and last one, the map. Yes, about Hong Kong. Hong Kong, very important during the Cold War. Hong Kong became financial center. Hong Kong also produced movies and dramas because of the traffic. Anyone wants to do something with China must go through the back door, not front door in Beijing or Shanghai. Back door, which is through Hong Kong. Once in Hong Kong, you can go to China. So that became important. But after the Cold War ended 1991, and also the Reformation in China, that embraced capitalist economy, but until today, economics, yes, reform, but politics, until today, China is a communist. So, 1995, World Trade Organization, 95, okay, came to replace GATT, which you're gonna learn, General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. So, 2001, China became a member, invited to become a member of World Trade Organization. See, 2001, China became, after 6 years of WTO, member of WTO. It means that the world acceptance of China, yes, accepting, because China has now become capitalist country, but although maintained as a communist but capitalist country. That's why, as a result, nobody has to go through Hong Kong anymore. Can go direct to China. No need Hong Kong. That's why Hong Kong no more important. But before 1997, Hong Kong was a colony of British. 1997, Hong Kong was returned back to China. From British, from UK, returned back to China. 1997. Side story. Before 1997, so many people from Hong Kong ran away to Canada, to United States, especially to Australia, because they're closer. Because they were afraid what happened to Hong Kong after being returned back to China. So Hong Kong now is a Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, Hong Kong SAR. So that's why Hong Kong lost the importance to first, Japanese pop culture, and now Korean wave. If not, Hong Kong still maintain, higher and higher. But because of that, no more importance after the Cold War, and after especially 2001, China joined WTO, that opened for trade and investment directly to China. So Hong Kong became not important anymore, and that also allows Korea to become more important in terms of K-pop, in terms of drama, movies, and so on. Plus the effort there by the Korean government to make content as an industry. So I think I'm done. All this information not in the exam for your knowledge. So let's go back to our lecture. I'm going to share the slide again. So reflects his. Can you see the slide now? Our lecture note. Tell me. Is it? Can anyone answer me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So, reflects historical evolution of the world's economic and political order. I was explaining these bullets. Only my long story explaining to you economic and political order in the world. But you are not going to be responsible. I'm not going to ask you all those stories in the exam. So, however, you benefit from my, story that I give you, impart to you as a knowledge for you that you're going to use in the future. 1989 was the most important year in economic history, recent economic history of the world. 1989, with the collapse of the Berlin Wall, with the revolution for democracy in Eastern Europe, ultimately with the collapse of Berlin Wall, and German become one. Berlin is in Germany. Berlin is dividing West Germany and East Germany. And the end of the Soviet Union in 1991. So, and here we have today, what China today, what America today, and that's why in my Facebook page, the flag of America, boxing gloves, America and China, because America has now looked at China as a threat, a country that will become a threat for America. That's why already in the news, in terms of semiconductor, microchips, the components, everything, United States pressure Korea not to export anything to do with microchips, anything to do with semiconductor that goes into computer, right? And it goes into everything, phone, everything. Semiconductor, microchips, pressure Korea not to export to China, because America look at China as a threat. So that's why America already calling Korea, Japan to get together in Chips Alliance. So there was a response yesterday by China. So that's in the news, which I will share in our Telegram. So these things I follow every day about technology, trade, and so on. So reflects historical evolution of the world economic world and political order until today, and that moves on every day. Economic interdependence is complex and in fact are uneven. Some countries are more connected to the rest of the world. Some are closing, so not even. Complex, very complex politics, political international relations, but dependency uneven. Mostly Asia are very interdependent with Europe, with America, but Africa are less interdependent with the rest of the world. They are more toward each other in Africa. I mean, relatively, I'm speaking that if you do a chart in the world, it's like a triangle, you know, triangle. America, point, Europe, and East Asia. These are where the traffics are coming more compared with Africa. So the triangle, United States, Europe, or North America, which is United States and Canada, North America, Europe, and East Asia, which is Japan, China, Korea, plus Southeast Asia. All this triangle, not the four rectangular to Africa, less. So just uneven. High degree of economic interdependence steps toward international cooperation mutually advantageous for trade nations, protectionist pressure. Some nations argue that liberalized trading system, what is liberalized? Open up for trade, open up for investment. Other countries, products can come in easily, low tariff, and also companies from other countries can come in to open business, you know. So that's liberalized. Trading system serves to keep them in poverty, make them poor and poor and poor, and the rich nation all only benefit this. That's why protectionist pressure that happen in some developing countries, not all. So when we see here mainly two categories, because there's another one, less developed country, but mainly two categories. Developed with ED, developed. Well, we shouldn't say that. We just say developed. Developed means rich country, high income country, developed, ED. So I'm just making exaggeration for you to differentiate. Developed, no, we say developed, rich, high income. Another one is developing. Ping means less developed. It's not less developed. Developing is like not rich, not high income, but developing. Malaysia, Thailand, China as well, because China, when you divide by GDP of China, even though China is big, well, China is, yes, because of the big size, you divide the economy, the total economy of China, big, but you divide by the number of population of China. That's why GDP per capita of China still puts China into developing country category, even though places in China can be considered as a developed country or region. Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, all along the coastal area of China is already like America, developed country. But when you go to the west of China, not developed, less developed. So, but because of the population, GDP per capita, what does it mean? Per capita, per head, for how many people? At the bottom you divide. So, including China, developing country, Malaysia, Indonesia, developing country. So, I'm just letting you know the two categories, developed and developing. So, some developing nations argue that make them poor. So, domestic economic policies have spillover effects on other economies. For example, during the 2008, this is during 2008 global economic great recession in 2008. Okay, quantitative easing by the Federal Reserve, Central Bank of the States. Make it easy. Not tight easing, not tight monetary policy, so that can restart again the economy. So at that time, other countries criticized United States as an attempt to improve American competitiveness through depreciation of the dollar. So, and what I'm here just they're just explaining to you domestic policies have impacts on other countries. That's all. What is globalization? The process of greater interdependence between countries and their citizens, increased international flows of goods and services, people, investment, equipment, factories, stocks and bonds. Globalization is political, technological, cultural, and economic. So this is a pretty much definition, from what we know, economics and business definition only. Because if I want to define globalization, I have to go more beyond that economics. Sociology definition of globalization is more comprehensive. Goes like this: globalization is a process. You're not responsible. I'm not going to ask you on the exam, just for your knowledge. Globalization is a process of compression of time and space. Compress time and space. Time. I can be having a breakfast here at UKM, lunch in Bangkok, my tea time afternoon in Singapore, and dinner back my home here near UKM in just one day. Compression of time and space. Space here, not space, outer space, the distance, kilometer. Compression, time, fast, space becomes near, with double movement of action and reactions. So, and this happened, globalization, in at least 3 dimensions of human interaction: economy, polity, P-O-L-I-T-Y, and culture. The 3 dimensions at least. The forces coming from outside, and reaction or even resistance coming from inside the country. Economy, the Western democracy, the Western, the author of neoliberalism. What is neoliberal? LDP, liberalize, open up your country for investment and trade. Liberalize. LDP, deregulation, take away regulations, make it easy for companies to open shops, to open factories and so on, business. LDP. P, privatization, do away with central planning. Government should go out from doing business, privatize. So LDP. The authors of neoliberal policies are IMF, which is in Washington DC, World Bank in Washington DC. That's why it's known Washington Consensus. So these are neoliberal policies. So now, for your information only, not on the exam. From sociological definition of globalization, in terms of economy, the pressure for liberalize onto country. Some countries will defend. Oh, we need to protect our country. Our companies will go out of business because your company is so strong. So there's a resistance from inside. So that's why globalization. People think globalization is. Where's the book? I cannot find it quickly. I have it in my room, but on my rack, but I cannot find it quickly. Let's go. This you can see this man picture. Tell me. Response. Can you see this? Response. Hello.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, this Kenichi Omei, Japanese American. He got PhD in nuclear science from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, United States. But he came back to Japan, even though he's American Japanese, as a McKinsey. McKinsey is a company consulting firm for management, business management. So he became from nuclear science. Nuclear scientist became a management guru. So he wrote a book, very influential book. So much so that people think globalization is this. Because of this book in 1990, in 1990. This is the book. This is the one I have in my room. I couldn't find it. So people, this is 1990. So the phenomenon of globalization that came with the technology at the time, everything's make people think globalization, borderless world. I'm going to show you borderless world is not accurate, because the three dimension I mentioned, economy, polity, from polity becomes politics. Exchange, someone give vote, you get power. There's exchanges. In all the economy, I work, I get salary. Exchange, right? Politics, give vote and get power, becomes politics and culture. So, the bottom one. Three at least. So, actually, globalization, yes, borderless, no border in terms of the communication, like internet, everything. But globalization has made countries to protect, so borders can become more defended, as strongly defended. So borderless, no border is not accurate because of the double movement action from outside, reaction, or even resistance. So culture, so just politics, Western democracy. But some other countries, they have their own democracy. China until today become still communist. So there's a resistance. Culture, in the past, Japanese culture, but today Korean culture, Korean wave is part of, there was a study in 1980 something in Singapore. People were asked, the Chinese, Malay and Indian in Singapore, they're three races just like Malaysia. Over 80% of Chinese, when asked, Chinese in Singapore, when asked, what would you like to be if you're given the opportunity to be born again? So over 80% say, I wish I was born as American, white American, Chinese. The Malay would be maybe 40-something% would say, yes, I wish I was born as American, white people. Indian also like that. So that's globalization in the dimension of culture. Looking at the West as superior. You have to be white to be superior. So that's phenomenon of globalization. So that's with globalization. Remember, economy, polity, triangle. At least three dimensions: economy, polity, and culture. So some people in the country will resist, will react and resist. So economy, we call it economic globalization. Politics or polity, we call it political globalization. This is cultural globalization. So with globalization, native countries will lose their own language because of globalization, will lose their culture because of globalization. That's why there's NGOs, there's civil society that will react and resistance. So what I'm saying, borderless world is not precise. So I told you from sociological definition, globalization is makes even more important borders. Borders more important. So complete definition of globalization is a process of compression of time and space with double movement of action and reaction, even resistance from inside. But depends on how strong is resistance. Like some student in my class long time ago, 1990, 1990s, wearing, dyeing hair as red or brown. I say, why are you doing that? Your hair is red. You are being influenced by cultural globalization, looking at the West, the Western people, white people as superior and stronger and beautiful. So you are under influence of globalization. I told her. So just I really did. So, meaning that in cultural globalization, you will lose what? Identity. Lose language and identity. The Malays will not become Malay anymore. Indians will lose their Indian. Chinese will lose their Chinese because of cultural globalization. So complete meaning of globalization from sociology is a compression of time and space with double movement of action and reaction and even resistance, accelerated, make it faster, accelerated, faster, okay, by advances in technology, especially this internet and so on. Well, that happened before internet. Discussion on globalization began in late 1990s, late 80s, and even more that this globalization has become a discussion, talk about, written in newspaper, in magazine, from mid 1990s all the way through late 1990s, and by the year 2000 became popular word. Even students at UCAM will do banner program, student week, entrepreneurship in the era of globalization. Anything globalization at that time. But now popular word today is what? Innovation, entrepreneurship. So done. So let me finish with that. So now all this for your knowledge, share this. Go back to my slide. We're gonna take a break, but not now. Let me finish a certain slide. We take a break. Current slide. So, look at this. Globalization is political, technological, cultural, and economic. So the three dimensions that I mentioned to you: politics, which polity, dimension of polity, economy, and culture. The at least three: economy, which is economic globalization; polity, which is political globalization; culture, which is cultural globalization, which technology here is included in economy actually. You know, you do technology not because of anything else. You do technology because for money. So it's economy, and also for power, which is the power is for ultimately for money as well. So we have three at least: economic, political, and cultural globalization. So that is explaining more comprehensively complete from the sociology field, which I took a short course. American professor from who came to UKM for just one semester taught a short course on globalization in 1998. So when it was popular, so I took that short course. This course only for lecturers, but not all lecturers. Me at that time, only me from economics that took it, because I like something like this. So, what are forces that are driving globalization? Technological change, yes. Advances in transport technology, widespread liberalization of investment transaction, liberalize, make it easy to invest cross-border, development of international financial markets. History of globalization tied to the evolution of trade. In late 70s, 80s, mass production and improved transportation made trade easier, most goods are tradable. Rise of global manufacturing in 1990s. So characterized by geographical fragmentation of productive processes, which products are not made in one location. This component made in Vietnam, this component is made in China, this component and then assembled in Malaysia. So all this and then export. So but today happens that almost everything today come from Vietnam, but assembled and manufactured, finished in China, and that makes China factory of the world. But today, what alarms the United States is not China factory of the world. China has become a power in producing products on its own with Chinese technology, Chinese R&D, which American claim, Chinese companies, Chinese engineers steal or stealing, take from Europe, take from America. So that's what this I'm talking about reality. Okay, the U.S. government are really watching any students from China studying in United States are being watched by America, as a maybe this is a spy to get technology from America to bring back to China. And also, very well, okay, I'm not saying anything more. Everyone know Huawei is blocked. Huawei is blocked from entering America because of this rivalry that America looks at China as a threat to America in terms of technology and so on. So that's the latest. I mean, beyond China has now become beyond after factory of the world, produce products of its own. So offshoring task to other countries rather than making on own. So now, era of globalization, 1870, 1914. There's no magic way or rule that you must say this is 1870, year this fixed. No, I can say that globalization became started when Adam, the prophet Adam, all our forefathers are Adam and Eve. Adam was created. I can say that. I can claim when Adam was created and Adam and Eve was the beginning of globalization. So depends on what you want to explain, okay, there's no fixed rule. 1870 can be 1776 when Adam Smith wrote the book The Wealth of Nation, for example. But 1914 is the starting the starting of this First World War. First World War, 1914. So that's how this decrease in tariff barriers. First wave, tariff barriers decrease at that time. So the countries become globalized, liberalized. There's tariff barriers. What is tariff? Imports, barrier to imports. So tariff went down at that time. So technological developments at that time, declining transport costs, shift from sail to steamships and to railway. Very important, railway can carry a lot heavy stuff, driven by European American businessmen. Still, export share of the world income increased, double to 8%. Per capita incomes increased because of trade and economy goes up. Nations that actively participated in globalization become rich. But this era of liberalized and strong globalization stopped because World War I happened. So came after war, 1914 war, that led to Great Depression. You must know, you must keep in your mind, 1930s, the decade of 30s, was Great Depression in the world. Economically very bad, no jobs, not enough food to eat, no money, Great Depression. So government started to practice protectionism. What is protectionism? Protect the country, protect the companies, local domestic companies from competition, to make sure companies survive, protect from imports, stopping imports. So protectionism. Ism is an ideology. So practice protectionism, especially in trade, to curb, to stop imports, to make sure companies, domestic company, can survive. So they raise the tariffs on import, try to shift demand into domestic market, to promote domestic sales and jobs, to secure jobs, and export share of nation fell from 8% to 5%. So second wave, 45. Yes, why 45? I told you, end of Second World War. Yes, Great Depression. If you are, I want to extend this Great Depression, 1930s, led to another war. Led to another war, which is Second World War. The Second World War ended 45. There's no magic number also. 80. Why 80? I can say this 45 until 89. Yes, 89. The most important year. So no magic number, okay? 89. Depends on what you want to say. So 89 because the revolution in Eastern Europe, collapse Berlin Wall, and end of Cold War, 1991. So 89 very important. Reducing incentive, globalization, falling transportation costs fostered by increased rate, trade liberalization, high but not uniform. Let me go back. People are declining transport cost. People take for granted this thing. For example, the shape of there's a head of the lorry here, lorry truck, tire, this tire. This is a container. You see the container here is a truck, tire. This suppose this container. What you see container here, if it is from Canada, the container does not come from here, all the way from another country, because this is the most important innovation, one of the most important innovation in the world, container, that will speed up, speed it up the trade, international trade, speed it up. This is the most important, one of the most important innovation. What happened? There was no innovation. People did not invent container. You know, 4 times you have to carry. For example, from America, I'm importing product. My factory here in Malaysia importing products from America. So the company there, from their factory, carry from the factory, carry onto the lorry, one time carry. Then the lorry goes from the factory, goes to the port, arrive at the port, carry the product onto the ship 2 times. And the ship will, sail from America to Port Klang, Malaysia, and arrive in Port Klang in Malaysia, carry again from the ship to the truck 3 times. And the truck will go on the road from Port Klang in Malaysia to my factory. Carry again from the truck out to my 4 times. But with container, just 1 time. So the product will go on the pallet, secure, go into the container. This container already waiting at the back, at the factory. Go, truck there. So go into the container, and the container with the truck goes from the factory in the United States, go to the port. At the port in the US, the magnet take the container onto the ship. And this same container on the ship sails from the United States to Port Klang in Malaysia, and the magnet from the top at Port Klang, Malaysia, put onto the lorry. And that lorry, on the road from Port Klang to my factory here in Bangi, and bring it out and take out. So the process is, people in the factory there in America put into the container, I take out from the container here. So make it fast, efficient. Not only fast and efficient, the products are safe, not broken, not damaged. See, container is one of the most important innovation that helped trade. So decline transportation cost. That was, if you want to explain, this is 1817, 1914, maybe container not yet at the time. Maybe after, during this time, after 1930s, after 45, yes, container falling transportation cost, yeah, should be here. After 45, the technology of container, roughly, I said, maybe 1950, container was invented, 1950. So falling transportation cost, so trade become, strong. So differential impacts of second wave, developed countries largely, now you see, the one I taught you, developing. So, but don't say developed, just say developed countries largely freed up barriers, greatly increase the exchange of manufactured goods, raise their incomes. Developing countries, only agriculture export that do not compete with agriculture in developed country, free of barriers. So this division of labor internationally, developed country, mainly industrial countries, are industrial products. Developing countries are in, agriculture and commodity, yes, products. So new kind of trade. Rich countries specialize in manufacturing niches. So new kind of trade, because now developing countries also exporting products, manufacturing products. So the division of labor no more one way, rich country, industrial country, manufacturing, labor work in manufacturing. Developing countries, labor work, international division of labor, labor in developing countries work in agriculture, commodity, no more that like that. Labor in developing countries, Malaysia, China, all the rest, also work in manufacturing, because they export manufacturing. So the new kind of trade. So as a result, rich country now has moved to a niches, to different type, more advanced niches, certain segment. Like, what is segment? Cars. There's a cheap car, there's a very expensive car, a luxury car. So rich country into niches. So gain productivity through agglomeration economics, which is the firms cluster together in one place so that they can get the external benefit. So what is cluster? You see, firms, electronics firms tend to be in certain one area, electronics. Computer industry tend to be, companies will be in certain location. All computer industry companies there. Fashion as well, all the fashion. Here in Bangi, we have a area in Bangi is a boutique area. Yeah, all the boutique there. So clustering. What is clustering? They are together, same business type of business in one location. Why? They get the externality, positive externality. What is externality? One of them is economies of scale. What is economies of scale? Average cost goes down. And when they cluster together, that's why Silicon Valley, they cluster in one place. In terms of human resource, they can get human resource with the same type of, same industry. They can have or share the same type of infrastructure that's suitable for their business. Car industry would be in certain location that uses certain type of infrastructure. So because some classes, yes, they cluster together. Some classes produce the same product, yes, same industry, others connected by vertical linkages, supply chain from raw product, process, and finished product. So benefits only to those in the culture, in the cluster. That's why agglomeration economics. So some developed countries are left behind. This globalization makes rich country super rich and always become rich. But some developed countries are left behind, become poor, still remain poor. Continuing trade barriers. Because of trade barriers, unfavorable investment climates, anti-trade policies, anti-trade policies in countries. We want to protect our companies. Stop all these Japanese import. Stop all this Korean, import. These Korean products taking away jobs from us. So dependence on agriculture and natural resource product. So that was in the, in developed country. Stop, protect our companies. And also in developing countries, they are too much dependent on agriculture and natural resource. So not easy for them to shift, because we're going to study another thing. There's escalation in terms of next coming up in a few chapters of raw materials compared with finished products, which raw materials tend to have higher tariff, tend to face higher tariff compared with finished products. Finished product, computer, food, finished, compared with agriculture and natural resource and raw materials, more higher barriers because of escalation of tariffs. We're going to study that. So latest wave, 1980s, I would say 89, I would say maybe 1992, when there's World Wide Web, WW, internet and so on. So say again, I'm saying there's no magic number, must be 1980. No, it's not must. Can be any year that's suitable, depends on what you want to say or your focus is. Some developing countries, China, India, broke into world markets for manufacturing, yes. Other developing countries marginalized, causing incomes to increase and poverty, significant capital movement today, but not labor. Some developing countries have competitive advantage in labor-intensive manufacturing. Bangladesh in making textiles, sweaters, shirt and so on. Protectionist policies in developed countries. So in 1980s, if you go to America, in 1980s, okay, you will see stack of smokes, factory closed, everything, because of the states at that time, 1980s, were losing competitiveness in labor-intensive products that make shoes, that make shirt, and so on, because cost of labor becoming becoming expensive in United States, and that's why products were even made at the time in Hong Kong, made in Philippines, made in other countries, you know, shoes made in Korea, you know, Reebok, you know, jogging shoes in 1980s, late 80s, made in Korea, but not anymore today, because that's what we call shifting of places based on competitive advantage. So too costly to produce sneakers in Korea today, but in 1980s, yes, shift from America to Korea, but now shifted to China and shifted to Vietnam and to make new sneakers, shoes. And because of that, you know, companies have to shift to other countries. In America, people there started feeling they're losing jobs. That's why protectionist policy. We must protect. We are losing jobs. So in developed countries, because of this globalization through trade and also through movement of, you know, companies to shift from one location to another based on where they can produce the products cheaper. So, and also product, you don't do everything completely by yourself. You outsource components. If components is cheaper, can produce cheaper in Vietnam, yeah, produce in Vietnam, import from Vietnam and assemble here. Don't do everything here, because you lose competitiveness. You pay higher cost to do everything here. So you outsource. You know, in Malaysia there's we call it kenduri. You know, when you have a function, wedding, everything, we don't cook ourselves. We just use the service of catering company, outsource. So product manufactured in more than one country, manufacturing moved to wherever cost is lowest. I already mentioned to you just now. Job losses, yes, in developing countries. That's why they cry for law. Protect our country. They demand on the street. You know, they demand for their Congress. They demand for, you know, Senate. You must fight to protect, you know, our country from imports of this Japanese import of this Korean import from China, all this. So by 2000s, foreign outsourcing of professional work, yeah, now services, not only products, services, information age, internet, high-speed data, setting up skill jobs offshore, accounting, chips, you know, accounting today in America being done somewhere in the Philippines, being done somewhere in Malaysia, you know, even airline booking, you know, answered in the Philippines, not answered in in America. So all this. Integrated factory floor is replaced by network individuals, specialized supplies. Countries tend to specialize in specific stages of production stages. So Vietnam in manufacturing of processing and materials, and then sent to China and completed in China. And then next, this is, so I think we take a break here. Okay, maybe only 5 minutes only. Done with that globalization. Now, how many about this? How many pages for this? Yeah, we take a break here. Because I taking a break because to let you absorb, you know, absorbing capacity, you know. If I go straight, okay, 5 minutes, 11:05, so 11:10 we meet again.